Valerie, what just the briefest amount of situation we want to get right
Okay,
down
here's the
to
brief. Okay,
what do
very
you
brief.
we don't even necessarily need to know your situation. We just need to know your regret. What are you wishing you had done differently? You don't have to tell many details.
My job that I had, my recent job that I had was is a great company. And the positions that we were doing, we were all, there's a bunch of lawsuits in like 5 or 6 states, I don't know, 3 or 4 states right now. So it's on hold, the particular thing that we were dealing with. And you could make a lot of money, and it was a great company, and they'll probably come out of it. But, I made some money, but you could have made about $25,000 a month if I feel like I didn't work hard enough. And now, as of the first week of December, we were all laid off doing this particular part of the business. And I'm, haven't been doing what I need to be doing for job hunting, feeling, I don't want to say the words and put out in the universe, feeling kind of paralyzed. And then also I have like a lot of, in one area of my house, a lot of, since this has happened, just enormous amount of clutter and overwhelm. So I feel like
Right.
I should have been doing the
Yeah.
job. I should be doing, like, what's her name who does all the organizing, the Asian woman, I love her, tidying up by Marie Kondo. I'm like, just get cranking, get rid of this mess right now that you have in this one room, just move. And so I feel frozen, and I should have done this and I should have done that for both of those things. And I feel very frozen right now. So
yeah, I'm so glad that you brought this, because so many people, we work so much with things that have to do with time, task, overwhelm, procrastination, if there even is such a thing as any of that, because life showing up exactly as it does, and then your monkey mind comes up and says, should have been different, should have gotten that room cleaned up, should have sold more, should have
been looking for a job immediately.
At this point, we're dropping into this work, which means that the should have story really is your hell. It was my hell. This is the one where we get to go, oh, wow, look at the cost to me of this should have story. It changed my life when I understood that I am almost never in charge of what shows up and when it shows up. That is totally, if you were here for the 3 kinds of business discussion, we are totally in God's business when we talk about what should have shown up. There is no such thing as should have. It was my personal hell that I used to believe that, because it's just a mind-made thing. Like my dog doesn't say I should have caught the ball differently. She's in the moment. There is no going back. There is no should have. It's something we made up, but you'll need to find that out for yourself. And when we believe there is, that's almost the thing that paralyzes you, because look at what's happening there. So let's find out. Let's pick one of them. You started out with the one about your work. So can you think of one specific? Let's do the clutter one, because so many of us have that. I should have done the dishes. Whatever.
Yeah, let's do the clutter one. The clutter one.
Yes, I want to do that one. So yesterday, or when is a time that you thought you would go in and you even said, oh, I'll do that tomorrow afternoon, right after lunch? Find a specific, you may go through this every day where you think you're going to do it and then you don't.
Yes.
But let's pick one. Yesterday, this morning, what's one you can?
Yes. Yesterday I went on a 4 or 5 mile walk. I said, oh, I'm going to go back and I'm just going to do an hour and a half and get the stuff off of the bed and then the floor. And I just keep adding things. And it's like, I'm not a hoarder, but my God, if you looked at this room, you'd think,
right. And your mind is cluttered with all the should have stories, and it becomes so much that you don't know which thing to do next. And so anyway, let's go back to the moment. Now it's tricky. Sometimes if you say something, it's easy to work that one because you have that moment in time where you said it. And you can go back there and see who you were and what you were believing in that moment. The idea of not doing something is a little trickier to work because you're not doing it all the time. You can't, but we still can find one moment of not doing it, which was you got home from your walk, which is when you thought you would do it. Or maybe it was even before your walk. Let's say before you walk, think I'm going to do the
It was
clutter.
both
And
times.
yeah, and then your mind says, wait a minute, no, I need some exercise. I'm going to take a walk.
Because I'm a queen of distraction.
Right. But, you can beat yourself up like that also. But your mind is going, oh, I really need some exercise. So given who you were and what you were believing in that moment, just take that one moment. You were truly believing that you would clean it up later, and that in that moment, it was more important to go for a walk, or that for whatever reason you needed it. Maybe you had been sitting and listening to my slideshow, which was pretty long. Then you're like, I got to get outside. I can't clean whatever. Go back, come back to that moment and ask yourself, who was I in that moment? Oh my goodness, you're the one who's always been with you from the start. You're the one who knows exactly what you were up against, exactly what you're scared of, exactly, why you think you really believe you will do it later, that just whatever, you're just like, oh, look at her. Look at that dear me doing the best she could. I truly believed that taking a walk was the very best thing to do in that moment. And whatever programming has come together to make you feel like you're a person who purposely distracts yourself or procrastinates, I don't even use the word procrastinate because it has such a negative connotation. If you go to any one given moment, we are all doing the best we can in that moment, given what we are believing. And here's the really important part. Everybody get this. You can say, well, but I just shouldn't be believing that then. But no, you don't choose your thoughts. There's a whole lot of stuff out there that will tell you choose your thoughts. It's just a buffet. All you need to do is choose some more positive ones. Leave behind all that negativity. But my observation, and I've checked with a whole lot of people, is the thoughts just pop in. You don't say, oh, I think I will think this negative thought now. You don't plan it. It's a result of, firing of neural networks that are connected up way out of your conscious control. There's a stimulus in the environment that causes that thing to fire. There's a belief that got started somewhere along the way that now is your worldview. In that moment, that worldview came in, and looking through that lens, you could not have acted any other way. It is just so critical to being able. Self-forgiveness does not get you off the hook. It actually makes people more accountable and responsible. They get more done. They don't go into that paralysis thing, because lack of self-forgiveness, you're basically telling that little part of you, what a loser you are. Why didn't you do that? You did it. Would you say that to a child? The things that we say to ourselves, no. And so they're just like, oh, okay, I guess I don't know what I should do or how. I'm not going to do it right anyway. And they get paralyzed. So that's you doing that to you. Of course, the part of you, the inner critic that beats you up, also is innocent. You don't want to hate the inner critic either, because the inner critic thinks it's helping you. It's the part that got wired when you were little and it wasn't safe to be really mad at somebody and say, why aren't you taking better care of me? Or why didn't this go the way I wanted? It's not safe to do that a lot when you're little. Your survival depends on those big, scary people. So you learn to turn it on yourself. And you think, oh, if I just beat myself up, that'll keep me safe. If I go back into the past and think about how I should have done it differently, then I'll do better next time. But I find it doesn't work that way. You can do some debriefing. We do like a after an event, we kind of go back over the do differentlys. Even this, my team meets and or what would we do differently tomorrow, that we could do better. That's different. That's sort of a productive activity. But the beating yourself up is what we learn to do, or this shoulda, woulda, coulda, why didn't I? So anyway, coming back, I'm sorry, it's really a big indoctrination. It's a new way of thinking for a lot of people. And I had to get it. I don't choose my thoughts. They just pop in. When you do this work, the work of Byron Katie, the Wheel of Self-Love, that's when you clear them up. So they really do go away. Then they get taken care of. So those same beliefs don't keep coming back and terrorizing you. That's when real behavior change happens. So that Allison wrote, your inner critic is also innocent. That is so freeing. Your inner critic, I often say, is one of the littlest parts of you that got hold of this strategy. Oh, if I just beat her up, everything will be okay and I'll be safe. All it does is tear down your confidence. We have someone in this room who is a criminal defense attorney, and I've worked with a lot of people out there who have worked, because of this inability to, she's been so hard on herself over the years, but over the years, it also starts to tear down. We've got all kinds of people who can start to actually lose confidence in themselves because they think it's not okay to ever forgive a mistake. I got to keep being hard on myself, and it's paralyzing. And it also, it doesn't make change in the future. The part of you that says, oh my goodness, wow, look at that. You were believing that. Good girl. You went for a walk. Yay, you. Instead of the whole time you're walking, you're going, what a loser you are. You still haven't cleaned the house. No, you're just like, you're piled under. Depression is actually the piling on of thoughts. So, you're just like, oh my God, Valerie, I want so much to support you through this. I know we can get you to the other side of this, and that it's really a suffering place that you're in, and a scary place, having lost your job. And in fact, one of the people that came to our retreat with that exact one was just watching one TV show every day and felt like she couldn't start her search for a new job or her new trying to work from home career until she cleaned her office, but she just couldn't seem to do it. So at the retreat, I said, you let yourself do what you need to do. She's like, I'll never get off the couch. I'll just keep watching that show. I'm like, some part of you needs that now, and needs you to find your innocence, needs you to let it go on its own schedule. You're recovering from a big loss, Valerie. So she went home and laid on the couch, and that lasted about a day and a half. Then she got a call from a potential job. She scrambled to clean up just enough of her office to be able to do the job, which was a big revelation to her. Was like, oh my goodness, I didn't clean the whole office. I just organized the part I needed in a way that I really liked to be able to move forward. And she wasn't watching the show anymore after that. So by giving herself permission to be with who she really was and find her own innocence, stand in self-solidarity, to support herself no matter what, then the decluttering will show up. I knows that I even have a thing that says behind every successful woman is a messy house. I actually have other people do my dishes because they're here to clean the vacation rentals. And they're like, oh my God, look at your dishes. You never do your dishes. So just, if I were hard on myself about dishes, I wouldn't be here today. I would never get anything else done. So trust what shows up. You may have more important work to do right now. You're here. This challenge, there's nothing more important. The ripple effect of what will go out into the world if you do this work for yourself, for your family, for your health, for your future job, where you will be really happy with the way you show up in that job without all the stinking thinking. There is nothing more important than being here. So I'm really glad you're not cleaning up the room right now, and that you're sitting here with your full attention. Is any of that kind of coming through? Is there any sort of shift in feeling toward yourself?
I'm listening attentively, and I'm actually a few times intermittently saying, I'm distracting myself by doing this spiritual work with you, and I need to get off and go start cleaning and organizing and job hunting. And that's intermittently what is coming into my head, and I want it to go away.
Right. Yeah. So it's part of you, the ego, by the way, you guys, the part of you that resists this or that resists spending any money on it or things like that, the ego sees these stories as survival. So it wants to avoid anything. And again, this was for everyone out there. If you beat yourself up of all, you've got to understand these concepts about thought to be able to say, you know what? I'm not in charge. I'm in God's business when I say this should show up differently. All you know is that you're here. All you know is that if you give to those little parts of you that need relief, and without it, they're paralyzed, that, you know, you can feel really kind of lost right now. And yet you're being hard on yourself instead of being compassionate with yourself and saying, wow, look at all this stuff that happened to me. I just need a little time to recover. I do need some different ways of thinking. I'm here for a reason. There's no better way to be using my time, because this is going to change the rest of your life and the way you think about fear and thought and time and tasks. But thank you for sharing that with me, because other people may feel that way too. I think that's why we share the testimonials, not because we're trying to do an infomercial. It's because the people who have done it and look back, those ones that were saying all that stuff, and they weren't very far into it when they said that, but people who a year later look back and they're like, whoa, you know, and you don't know that now. Now it feels like a waste of time, but this is going to change your life. So coming back, tell me who you were in the moment when you went for that walk. What was going on that you said, you know what, I think I'll take a walk first?
Because I just, whatever I can do to not do what I need to be doing. Is that
okay? So part of you says, I don't want to clean the room.
Or I just need to exercise first, or
right.
Instead of rewarding myself, what I should have done was do a certain thing, like apply for a job or spend an hour dumping and donating or whatever I'm doing, and then go for a walk, reward myself for a walk. But so instead, I'm not doing.
Let's work with the should have story then. You should have done that. You should have applied for a job first. I'm going to just go over and do the
decluttered for an hour or something.
Now I'm going to drop into, we're going to shift, because the should have story is so big that you're actually believing it, that there could have, should have been a different past, and not trusting what showed up. So let's go to the work with that. You should have done it that way. You should have put in a job application first.
Or decluttered.
Something. See, yeah, like the mind is like, I don't even know, I should have decluttered something. So some
for an
people
hour or something. Yeah.
But if you saw exercise as a reward or a distraction, then you're saying I should have. So you should have done it differently. I'm just going to ask for a yes or no. Is that true? You should have done the decluttering or job. Okay.
Yes.
Can you absolutely know that that's what you should have done in that moment?
I don't know, but I'm pretty good at distracting. So
I want to just, for these, I didn't give you that these two are just a yes or no. And in the work, anytime you say, but, you got the nugget there, you got the, I don't know, but then your mind came in and said, but, and you took it all away. So that's why we really get quiet. And we just say, oh, let me just put the camera on. So I love that you got the, I don't know. I don't know, honestly, even if you're not all the way to a no, at least you're not a solid yes. You're using that yes to terrorize yourself. You're believing there should have been a different you, a different path, a different, oh my goodness, that's why I call it hell. It's so horrible. And we do that to ourselves. So in the moment where you're like, oh, no, I can't absolutely know that that's what should have unfolded in that moment. So yay, you got the, I don't know, a little bit of loosening up of the I know mind. The I know mind doesn't really know anything. When we start to do this work, and especially when it comes to the unfolding of time and what shows up in the universe, everything that coalesces to create that moment, your childhood wounds, everything that happened at your job, how you felt that day, everything that came together in that moment that made you not put in a job application. And guess what? There will be a moment that shows up when you do put one in, and that is going to be the perfect moment. Except if your mind comes in and says, you should have done it back then. So, some of my team would have said, I should have had my slides ready earlier today. And I have just one little story about that to help, because when I first started doing online telecourses, we were on instant telecom. There was no nothing, but you could still get them to watch your slides online. I'm like, it's 2 weeks away. I better make my slides. Or 2 weeks go by. No slides. 1 week, no slides. 2 days, no slides. 1 day, no slides. That morning, I'm going to do my slides. Haven't done my slides. That afternoon, I
Sounds
sit
like
down.
me.
Oh, but that, guess what? If you have the story of procrastination, you're going to be in pain during that whole time. If you're trusting what shows up and seeing, I was doing all kinds of things that I felt needed to be done, more importantly than the slides. And then when I did those slides, they just flowed like silk. And guess what? I had beautiful examples of something that happened that morning when I thought I was going to do them, and something that happened the night before when I thought I was going to do them. They were such good examples to use for my class that I knew that I wasn't supposed to do the slides a moment sooner than I did them. Nothing in this world can show up a moment sooner than it does. And it's only you, your monkey mind, believing, playing God, literally playing God and saying, I'm the orchestrator of reality, and this should happen now. And then when it doesn't happen, you beat yourself up. It's hopeless, And so when we really get on top of this, it's like, wow, freedom to trust what shows up, to compliment ourselves on what we are doing. Some people would say, yay, you went for a walk. I didn't get out for a walk yesterday, and by the time I went, it was raining. So, I could compare myself with you and beat myself up. So
I went in the rain. I like to beat myself up and say, yeah, I did it in the rain, in the snow, in the cold. I don't ever make an excuse.
So that's what happens. By the way, when you forgive yourself, when you trust the you that shows up in each moment, then guess what? Suddenly you're moving into action. When you drop the procrastination story, you are going to look at me. I mean, I have boundless energy. And I had an adult life of chronic energy illnesses. So once I lost the shoulda, woulda, coulda story, oh, you're just distracting yourself. We even have this thing we do to children where we say, oh, he just wants attention. Like, really? If somebody is doing a negative behavior to get attention, there's a good reason for that. They don't know another way. So we're just, we're so hard on ourselves. So you get to be the hero. So we went back to that moment and we saw that there was a reason you went for a walk. So can you stand with, by, and for the Valerie of the moment when you put your coat on and went for a walk in the rain? That's even better. Look at you. You like to walk in the rain. A lot of people would avoid that. So you're a real trooper. And you can say, wow, yay, Valerie, you did good. I forgive you. You shouldn't have done anything different than what you did. And can you find that? Can you find your own innocence? Everything you've been through and all that you're dealing with, can you stand with, by, and for yourself?
Instead of criticizing myself.
And you say, given what I was believing in that moment, which is that I needed a break. It's good to walk in the rain. I'm going to clean the room when I get back. It's too hard to apply for a job. All that stuff is exactly the lens you were looking through. Oh, and going for a walk would be a really productive thing to do right now that I am motivated to do. And partly why I get so much done is I do the stuff I'm motivated to do. Even if I had this scheduled, there may be a big flow of, oh, look at that. And I got all that done. Even though I've been procrastinating on that, I don't beat myself up and say, oh, you did that to avoid doing that. I'm like, okay, that one showed up. So yay, you. All right. So then we go in step, let me come back to step one. I just want to So first step one is when you find yourself in regret hell, the antidote is to reconnect to your own innocence. So that's what we've just done. You ask yourself, what was I thinking? So you go back and you be with the you that was doing the best you could in that moment. And ask yourself, who was I? What was I struggling with? What was I thinking and believing? I mean, I have a huge example of someone who always beat herself up for not staying in college. And when we went back there and said, what was going on with you at that time? Oh my goodness. First of all, it was really hard for her to be at that college for a lot of good reasons. And then she was raped. And then she went home, which she had totally forgotten that. It was just, oh, beat yourself up. You're such a loser. You dropped out of college. And it was like, given who you were in that moment, that was exactly what you needed to do. So just keep remembering, there's, wait a minute, 10. Okay. So again, return to the moment you regret. Ask yourself what you were thinking. Notice that you did not actually choose to believe this. It was an unconscious convergence of mental programming and reactions to stimuli. Oops, wait. See that once you were believing it, you could not have acted any other way. And then finally, find the spark of love. Discover how you were always acting out of love or a wish to help. And that includes, if we do or say something we think was really nasty, we can go back and find that we were triggered. We felt we were protecting ourselves. It was a survival instinct. And taking care of yourself was your job in that moment. You didn't know a better way in that moment, but you can even find your forgiveness and find the spark of love, even if it's love for yourself. In this case, the spark of love was to help yourself do something you could do. You could go for a walk. You thought it would be productive. It was an act of love for yourself. So again, the step one, reconnect to your own innocence. If you really do this, and this changed my life, this is why Katie certified me completely outside in some ways of some of these things, is that I wrote to her about finding my own innocence and how confident I was in my ability to share that with people and to move into a new sense of self-advocacy, support, and forgiveness, experiencing warm compassion for the well-meaning you that acted the best you could, given what you were believing in the moment. That is the most important statement. Yes, I did the best I could, given who I was, given what I was believing, given the circumstances of that instant. Realize that even underneath the worst of behaviors, you can always find a loving motive, a wish to help yourself or another. Forgive and cherish yourself like never before for that. I mean, you could even do some kind of a really big celebration for yourself for having taken that walk. So, and it's all like that. So step two, so maybe you have completely forgiven yourself. You're past that. You're not beating yourself up at all anymore for not decluttering in that moment and even the moments since then, because you're starting to trust reality as it shows up and stand for yourself. But guess what? There's still another part. You may still fear the consequences of not decluttering. And you talked about them some on Monday. You said that your kids are starting to judge you for that. You're starting to judge yourself for that. By not applying for a job, you're basically running out of money, the things you talked about. So those are your fears. And so that's what step two is about. Yes, you found your own innocence, you forgave yourself, but still the consequences of my actions are still out there. So what do you do with that? This is, wait a minute, step two doesn't have, step two is ask yourself, what am I thinking or fearing now? So what are your fears about the fact that you haven't applied for a job and you haven't decluttered?
That I'm gonna, lose my house, or I don't know. I have really high
Yeah,
credit score and I'm very
right.
responsible, but I
Okay,
just,
so
I'm frozen. I'm frozen. And
I want you to, talk about not so much your analysis of what's happening to you, but be the camera, look at your mind. What am I fearing? That's part of why I'm being so hard on myself. I'm fearing that I'll lose my house. I'm fearing that my great credit score is going to be in the toilet. I'm fearing that, go all the way to being
I'm-
homeless, in the gutter,
Right,
whatever
that's
it
true. That's true. That's probably true.
that's
But
kind of the
I've
bottom
always
line.
there's a lot of rescuing in my family, so maybe I have some subconscious thing that thinks someone's going to rescue me. I don't know. Who knows?
Right, but okay, there's that. That's the yes, but we in this work, we stay really focused, not on the
Okay,
part
so
that. So this
ask me
would
whatever you
be,
want to ask me, and you want me to answer a yes or no, right?
no, that was
Question.
only for question one. You did just
Okay,
answer
sorry.
me about the fear, but already
Okay.
your mind went, but maybe somebody will rescue me and I'm just slacking because maybe I think, but here's where we want to, there is fear, which is why you beat yourself up to start with, is your fear that you might lose your house, lose your credit, other bad consequences. So first of all, the first question of step 2 is, you notice the thoughts that you started believing that plunge you into regret hell, and they're almost all fears of the future. You accept that your mind can't know any given outcome will or will not happen. So let's say, can you absolutely know, if we just take one of those fears, that you will lose your house?
What's the question? Can I what?
Okay. Can you absolutely know that you will lose your house? Just a yes or
No.
no here.
No.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Here's where you
We
really
don't know.
you really get that your mind cannot predict the future. You do not have a
No.
crystal ball. So we just knocked that one out. Nope, I don't know that that's going to happen. But guess what? Your mind will still go, yes, but it could. So that's where my freedom now has come from, going all the way to worst case scenarios. So now I see you sitting on a street corner in the rain, even though you used to like to walk in the rain. You don't like it anymore because you're homeless and you don't know a way to get warm and dry. You don't know where your next food is going to come from. Is that your worst case outcome?
I don't know. Wow.
Okay.
No, I don't think that would ever happen because I probably would be rescued.
Okay, so your worst outcome ends up that you're staying with a relative, or you live in a less good house. You sell your house, you get some other house that maybe you don't like as much, might be your worst case outcome. And that you fear you will still always go back to, why didn't I apply for jobs sooner? And you'll never be able to forgive yourself. So anyway, what you do with that is you go, can I absolutely know that that would be a bad thing for everybody? And this is so challenging because it can even go all the way to the loss of a child. Ultimately, if we really, really do this work, we get that we cannot absolutely know what is being accomplished in anything. We cannot know what is a bad or a good outcome and
Right.
where that is leading. And
So you're
even the
saying,
woman,
go ahead.
go ahead. Yeah.
You're saying people going to rock bottom, sometimes that's what has to happen. If it happens, then that's what has to happen.
Right. And I did a video this week of, there were no rentals for my vacation rentals until March. I didn't find out till the other day that Airbnb is way down, but we marked our prices down instead of inflation. So come on over. But anyway, because of that, I ended up putting something out there, and I ended up finding someone who's living here in a very flexible way, where we move them around to wherever parts of my little compound are not rented. And she started working for me, and it turns out she's an expert in something that I need. And it turns out I've needed a local person here to help me with events and other things. So she's right here in the room with us. She was dancing with me yesterday. There's just and all that came out of something bad. No rentals, no money coming in that part of my business. And you just don't know. We've all had those experiences. So that's where the humbleness of step 2 comes in, where you get your mind right size, because it's those projections of the future and the I know mind that are scaring you. So I love that you found it right away, Valerie, that no, sometimes people have to hit rock bottom. There may be ways that you didn't like the you that you were at your job. You even said, maybe I didn't work hard enough, or who knows who you can even help, especially if you have this work and you end up being out on the street. You can bring a lot of joy and peace and support to other people. It might be the most meaningful thing that happens to you in your whole life. So I'm
very good at rescuing and enabling and saving everyone else but myself.
Right. Well, but, and again, I hear you being hard on yourself, even in that. And that's the perfect, almost the pretzel people that I'm here to empower and support. And you get to have all the helping and saving, but without all the strings attached, and you don't have to come last either. It's like the oxygen mask, you know. So again, with step 2, we come back to, you find the spark of love. Here you thank the kindergarten motives under your self-criticism. They truly believe they're, you know, saving you by screaming, you did it wrong, and now you're going to lose your house. And you're just like, oh, sweetie, thank you for watching out for me. And no, we don't need all that. We're going to trust reality. There's something bigger going on here that our monkey mind cannot know. So step 2 then is that you relax into the truth of not knowing. You let your self-protective instincts, which were good, but they go crazy, you know, and beat you up. You let them become right-sized. They can't predict the future. You turn over the outcomes to something greater than your monkey mind. This is why I say, after all my years of church and spiritual study, I really didn't have faith until I got this, a fearless faith. Trusting that you cannot absolutely know what outcomes will ultimately be better for you, others, or the planet. So step 3 is, if you still need life or others to prove to you that you'll be okay, you become the hero you've been waiting for. So you ask yourself, what do I want from others or life? Imagine what it would take for you to feel like everything is okay, Valerie, and everybody out there. Make a list of what I don't want them to be mad at me. I want her to support me. I want to have an amazing job, you know, then I'll know that everything unfolded okay after all. You know, it's like we want to wait and see. Well, did everything go okay? When I know that it went okay, then I'll forgive myself. It's like, no, how unfair is that already, to use hindsight of things not going okay to beat yourself up and to make yourself wait till proof that you were okay. Again, you're doing that to you, who is a child. You are every age you've ever been. So here's where we don't wait, you know. So what do you need from others or life that would prove to you that what's unfolding right now, with you being so paralyzed and you wasting time on this class and all the other things you're beating yourself up for, what would you need looking back to say, wow, I guess everything was okay? What would that look like? And I'm asking you, it's okay to think about it. I just want to make sure you
You're
know I'm asking.
saying, you're okay. You're asking me what it would feel like that everything was okay, and with the
Right.
not
For example,
putting
it might even be that your kids say, oh, Mom, you've been through so much. Don't worry about the clutter. We love you just the way you
oh,
are.
I,
It
you
might
know,
be.
yeah,
And
I,
don't, well, right now I'm going to stop you if you go, please don't think I'm being hard on you. Don't, we go
no,
into explain, you're just camera on you. What is it for you? Don't worry about mine. Mine were just examples. Drop into your own little, what is it for me? What would I need to really move on and know that I was okay?
I would like someone to help me. I guess I want rescuing, to just get moving on it. I don't know.
Right.
I
That's
don't
a
know.
great one.
I
Okay.
would like
Someone to,
someone to help me and just get going. The motion of moving forward. Listen, I know how to
okay.
motivate and
So I'd like
coach and
someone to
tell
help
everybody else
me.
what to do, but not myself.
I'd
Can't
like,
help myself.
I, right now, yeah, I'd like someone to help me. I can coach other people, but I can't coach myself. So I'd like one
Oh
to coach
God. Yeah, I
and
could come to
support.
your place and organize and motivate you and run your business, but my own
But I
ship.
was just thinking, oh, I'll come to your place. Yeah, I've worked with so many clutter things, but I'm not saying that. I'm not, I mean, who knows, maybe where we'll go from here, but just recognize this, and also an outcome. What's an outcome where 6 months from now, you're looking back and saying, wow, why was I so hard on myself? Because blank, now everything's okay. What does that look like?
What that looks like is nice peace, calm, serenity, semi, or not an OCD home, or this 1 or 2 rooms that are really a disaster.
Okay,
They're,
and maybe do you have a good
semi-orderly, and I feel peace. Feel
and
peace
just
and
in
calm.
general, do you also have a good job by then?
And I'm making money. I'm not a millionaire, but I'm doing well, and I feel satisfied and happy with my
okay,
that I have an
great. And
income and everything's good.
okay, so we have a little list here. So give it to yourself. That's what step 3 is. You take out the middleman, you stop making those littlest parts of you wait to know that they were okay. So someone to help me. So that means maybe you go out and get someone to help you. You realize that's what I need, or maybe you help yourself by not beating yourself up. We'll see what that looks like. Someone to coach me and support me. Who knows? Maybe you get in our Get You Back group, which is people start moving into action so much in their lives when they have this level of love and support and continuing to forgive themselves so they're not walking around under the weight of their own self-criticism and stinking thinking. And then peace, serenity, all of that, you can give that to yourself right now, walking around a cluttered house. Those little
You know
parts.
what I do try to do that. I light my
Right,
candles,
there you go.
things like
Perfect.
I
Yeah.
have light my candles, I pet my cats, things of gratitude,
Yeah.
things what I'm
The
grateful
main
for.
place, the main place we want it to do it is in your head. When you catch yourself beating yourself up, when you hear that should have word in your story, should or should have, are nothing. They are air. They are a mind made, they don't exist in reality. They came up in our mind. When you hear those, you go, oh, look at you trying to save me. No, I shouldn't be doing anything other than what I am. And I will do it when I'm ready. And I'm excited about blank. And here's my vision for the future. And there is no should or shouldn't have, except what actually shows up. So, and you say making money and doing well, you start to see yourself as having the exact amount of money right now. And even the exact amount of money when you run out of money is the exact amount of money to take you exactly where you need to go, that you can't know. You've already said, I can't necessarily know that as I watch my life going down the tubes, that's even going to be a bad thing. I don't know what's getting accomplished here. So you give yourself that sense of prosperity. My definition of prosperity, and we're going to end really soon, everybody, is there is enough. There always was enough. There always will be enough. Now, I know this was really a lot, and for you to take in, Valerie, you were so great, and I'm so sorry for the times I felt I needed to interrupt you, but it's just a lot.
No.
If you get a chance to re-listen to this recording and you showed up like a rock star, and you'll hear a lot more, it'll start to sink in as, oh my God, I don't have to be a victim of my own self-criticism. I can trust the reality that shows up when it shows up. This is kind of a recap where we build the whole thing. What was I thinking then? What am I fearing now that plunged me into regret? What do I want from others or life? That I need to be my own hero and give that very thing to myself, no waiting, including forgiveness. And that drops you into this deep well of self-solidarity where life is always showing up exactly. Everything supports you, even the things that hurt.